Hi there, hello. So one of the fun rituals of my daily life is a group text that I'm involved with a couple of friends, and one of the common bonds that we have is our shared experience playing video games together. And one of the guys commented to me the other day that I talk about frame rate a lot, and he started ribbing me about it pretty good. And it turns out that he thinks that my belief that high frame rates being important in video games is just a bunch of hooey, and that the difference largely exists only in my imagination. And so naturally, I wanted to defend my position. And so I started digging up evidence and videos and articles so that I could prove to him that I was correct. I wanted to offer a defense for my position. And in doing that, I was reminded of what the Apostle Peter said to us about defending our position and our belief in Jesus. 1 Peter 3:15. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. Now, a lot of people think that belief in Jesus is just a blind belief where you just have to take this giant leap of faith with no evidence whatsoever. There's a lot of good reasons why I believe in Jesus. And I just want to share a few of the bullet points with you right now, because really this could be like 5 or 6 30-minute sermons. But if you want more details, talk to me about it later. So first we have the gospel narratives. We have 4 different accounts filled with eyewitness testimony that tell the same story. Now in a court of law, this would be seen as great evidence when multiple witnesses tell basically the same story without using verbatims. And then we have Old Testament prophecies. Jesus fulfilled over 300 prophecies from the Old Testament. Now, it's been calculated that the odds of one man fulfilling 8 prophecies from the Old Testament is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. That's a 1 with 17 zeros after it. Now, that's only for 8 of them, but Jesus fulfilled over 300 prophecies from the Old Testament. Many are from Isaiah, and they're filled with graphic descriptions of the crucifixion, and they speak of the resurrection. And this was written 650 years before Jesus was born, at a time when crucifixion hadn't even been invented yet. Then we have historical reliability of Scripture. We have thousands of copies throughout the last several thousand years that confirm that the Bible has not changed over time. It's still the same book now that it's always been. We also have archaeology that confirm many biblical characters in the correct cities in the correct time period, showing that the Bible is accurate again and again. Furthermore, we have research that shows that the vast majority of the New Testament was written within 35 years of Jesus' resurrection. This leaves out the possibility that this is some kind of legendary tale that grew over time, because eyewitnesses were still alive and they could refute it at the time that it was written. Then we have the empty tomb and the resurrection. The tomb had to be empty because the disciples could not have preached the resurrection otherwise. Then there's the fact that the empty tomb was discovered by women. Now, the reason why this is significant is because in first century Israel culture, women were not looked at very highly. They were not seen as good witnesses. So the fact that key witnesses of the empty tomb speaks to the validity of the claims, because if you're just going to make up a story, in that culture you would have had men make it up, and you would not have had women do it. There are actually many eyewitnesses to the resurrection. We had the women, there were the apostles, and we had 500 people at the same time. Paul speaks to this in 1 Corinthians 15:6, and in his writing, he says that many of these people are still alive today. In other words, he's saying the witnesses are there. If you want to know, go ask them and they'll tell you. Then we have the lives of the apostles. History shows that 11 of the 12 apostles died as martyrs. Now we know that zealots from all over the place will die for what they believe in, even if they've been misled. But the apostles knew for sure whether or not they had seen a resurrected Jesus. If they knew that the resurrection was a scam, then they simply wouldn't have died for it. But they did die for it because they believed in the resurrection. And people do not die for what they know is a lie. And so there isn't just one thing that convinces me of my faith in Jesus. There are all these many pieces of evidence that build upon each other that lead me to faith. No giant leap of faith is needed. It's only a small step, a step that is, I believe, is quite reasonable. So that's the short version of why I believe. And I encourage you also to be prepared to give an answer for why you believe. Have a great day, friends. God bless.